Since ancient times, humanity has turned to certain substances to alter its perception of reality. Among them, alcohol holds a special place. Celebrated at festivals, used as medicine in ancient times, and transformed into a symbol of pleasure and escape. Few stop to question its true nature. But what happens when we look at alcohol not from the perspective of entertainment, but from a spiritual dimension? The term, Al-Kuhul, from which the word alcohol derives, has roots in medieval Arabic and refers to a black powder used in alchemy. Some argue that its hidden meaning is connected to the separation of spirit from body, a process that, ironically, happens in some way when someone consumes this substance. But what if the consumption of alcohol not only affects the mind and body, but also the soul? Could alcohol be a veil that clouds spiritual perception, blocking the connection to higher planes? In this video, we will explore the profound spiritual consequences of drinking alcohol. We will dive into its mystical origins, its relationship with vital energy, and how it influences human consciousness. We will analyze ancient texts that warn about its effects, from esoteric teachings to the ancestral wisdom of different traditions. We will also discuss how alcohol can be a barrier to inner growth, and how its consumption can open doors, not only in the mind, but in dimensions that few understand. Get ready for an exploration that might challenge what you think you know about this substance. A knowledge hidden for centuries and once revealed will change your perception forever. Throughout history, alcohol has been both an elixir of the gods and a test for the human spirit. From ancient civilizations to modern times, it has been used in sacred rituals, celebrations, and even shamanic practices. But what did spiritual and philosophical traditions truly say about its consumption? The word Al-Kuhul comes from medieval Arabic and referred to a fine powder used in alchemy. However, in esoteric circles, the term had a deeper meaning. It represented an element capable of separating the essence of being. Alchemists, obsessed with the transmutation of lead into gold, understood that certain substances could disturb the balance of body and soul, weakening the control of consciousness over the material plane. In spiritual alchemy, the process of refining the soul required purity in mind, body, and spirit. Any substance that disrupted this balance was seen as an obstacle on the path to enlightenment. Could it be that alcohol, in its liquid form, served the same destructive purpose as Al-Kuhul? In ancient rituals, major spiritual traditions have had an ambiguous relationship with alcohol. While some have employed it in ceremonies, others have warned against its dangers. In Buddhism, the fifth precept teaches that consuming intoxicants clouds the mind and generates negative karma, distancing the practitioner from spiritual awakening. In Hinduism, although some Vedic texts mention soma as a sacred drink, ordinary alcohol is regarded as an impediment to spiritual ascension. In Islam, the Quran is clear in its warning. Alcohol is a tool that diverts humanity from the path of truth. It is considered a work of Satan, as it muddles judgment and weakens the connection to the divine. In Christianity, although wine appears in the Bible, especially at the Last Supper, many sects have condemned its misuse, linking it to sin and the loss of control over the soul. In shamanic traditions, while some hallucinogenic plants are used for spiritual purposes, alcohol rarely features in rituals of purification or connection with spirits. In fact, it is said that alcohol opens portals that can attract low vibrational entities. Esoteric teachings speak of the energy body and the vibrational fields that surround us. It is believed that alcohol disrupts the harmony of these fields, weakening the natural protection we have against external influences. In states of intoxication, consciousness fragments, willpower weakens, and the astral body becomes vulnerable to external energies. Is this why some cultures refer to spirits when talking about alcoholic beverages? From ancient sages to the most influential religious traditions, the message is clear. Alcohol is not just a physical substance, but a means of spiritual dissociation. What we drink affects not only our bodies, but also our consciousness and our connection to the universe. Alcohol has been described in many cultures as a solvent of the spirit. It not only impacts the mind and body, but also profoundly affects vital energy and awareness. In this section, we will explore the esoteric effects of alcohol from a metaphysical and spiritual perspective, uncovering its true consequences on the soul. In spirituality studies, everything in the universe vibrates at an energetic frequency. Elevated emotions, such as love, gratitude, and peace, have high vibrations, while fear, anger, and attachment, practices like meditation, fasting, and connecting with nature raise a person's vibrational frequency. While consuming intoxicating substances, alcohol, by its very nature, slows down the vibrational frequency of the human energy field. This is why when someone drinks excessively, their aura weakens, leaving their astral body vulnerable. This drop in vibration allows dense emotions such as sadness, anger, or confusion to take hold, pulling the person away from their spiritual center. Ancient mystical traditions taught that humans possess several subtle bodies, among them the astral body, which serves as the vehicle of consciousness in non-physical planes. When a person consumes large amounts of alcohol, their astral body becomes unstable, allowing outside energies to intrude. It is said that certain entities from the lower astral realm, beings that feed on the energy of dense emotions, find in intoxicated states a gateway to influence the individual's psyche. This is why after a night of excess, many people feel emptiness, depression, or even distress, as if something foreign has latched onto their energy field. In some shamanic traditions, healers believe that certain negative spirits can temporarily possess a person through alcohol consumption, causing them to behave in ways they would never consider while fully conscious. There are documented cases where individuals under the influence of alcohol have committed acts that, when sober, seem completely foreign to their true selves. Another significant spiritual consequence of alcohol is the disconnection from the higher self, the most elevated and wise part of our consciousness. When the physical body is intoxicated, the mind becomes clouded and the inner voice falls silent. This state of unconsciousness obstructs introspection, blocks intuition, and weakens the connection to the divine. In yogic tradition, it is taught that meditation and control of prana, the vital energy, are essential for reaching enlightenment. However, alcohol interferes with this process by disrupting the body's energy flow and blocking energy centers, known as chakras. The third eye, ajna, the seat of intuition and spiritual vision, is particularly affected, becoming clouded and disconnected. The solar plexus chakra manipura, which governs willpower and self-discipline, weakens. The throat chakra vishuddha, responsible for communication and truth, becomes distorted, leading many people under the influence of alcohol to say things they later regret. By disconnecting from the higher self, we lose the ability to act with wisdom and discernment, leaving us vulnerable to unconscious impulses and desires. From a karmic perspective, every action we take impacts our spiritual evolution. If alcohol causes us to act uncontrollably, we generate karma that we will later need to balance. Irresponsible actions, while intoxicated, can have consequences that extend far beyond a mere hangover. Broken promises, hurtful words, or assaults can create karmic bonds with others that we will eventually have to resolve in this life or in future ones. Long-term alcohol abuse can become a karmic prison, repeating cycles of self-destruction and spiritual disconnection. In the view of karma, consuming alcohol affects us not only physically, but can also delay our progress on the path of awakening. Esoteric traditions teach that the reality we perceive is merely a reflection of our inner state. Mental clarity and mindfulness allow us to see the world clearly and understand the energetic patterns that govern our existence. However, alcohol clouds this perception. Under its influence, the mind becomes more vulnerable to illusions and deception, and the individual might lose the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is false. In internal alchemy, this confusion is seen as a form of self-deception that distracts a person from their purpose and mission in this lifetime. Mystics have described the process of spiritual awakening as the lifting of the veils of illusion. When someone seeks the truth, they must cultivate a clear mind, a pure heart, and a strong spirit. Alcohol consumption works in the opposite way, creating more veils and blocking connection with universal wisdom. The concept of soul fragmentation has been explored in many mystical traditions. It is said that traumatic experiences, unconscious actions, and choices that go against the inner voice can cause a fracture in the unity of the self. When someone drinks excessively, it is common for them to experience moments of amnesia or loss of control. These lapses are not just memory failures, but represent a temporary tearing of the energetic field. Each episode of drunkenness can further weaken the cohesion of the soul, making the person feel disconnected from themselves. Over time, in many ancient cultures, shamans and mystics spoke of recovering parts of the soul as a necessary process for spiritual healing. Those who have abused alcohol for years often describe a feeling of emptiness, as if they have lost a part of themselves. From an esoteric perspective, this phenomenon is not just a metaphor. It is an energetic reality that must be addressed with spiritual reintegration practices. One of the fundamental laws of the universe is the law of attraction, which states that our vibration determines what we attract into our lives. Alcohol alters this vibration, causing us to tune into lower frequencies. When a person drinks frequently, they may notice that chaotic situations begin to surround them. Conflicts increase, relationships become more unstable, and unexpected problems arise. This is not coincidental. It is the result of a resonance with discordant energies. Great sages have always taught that the path to a harmonious life requires purity of thought, emotion, and action. Substances that alter consciousness can disrupt this balance and steer the individual away from their higher purpose. Esoteric teachings talk about the existence of spiritual guardians, entities of light that protect and guide souls on their evolutionary path. However, it is said that these luminous presences work with the consciousness. When a person consumes alcohol excessively and loses control of their mind and emotions, these guardians cannot intervene as strongly. In that state, the person becomes more vulnerable to external influences, whether they are dense energies, destructive thoughts, or entities from the lower astral plane. This is why many ancient cultures viewed alcohol consumption as an act that weakens the connection to the divine. It was believed that the spirit must remain steadfast and grounded in its center to receive guidance. Up to this point, we have explored the spiritual consequences of alcohol: the fragmentation of the soul, the distortion of perception, the attraction of dense energies, and the disconnection from the higher self. However, esoteric wisdom not only warns of dangers, but also provides tools for healing and regaining spiritual clarity. Next, we will explore practical and spiritual methods to cleanse the energy field, restore connection with higher consciousness, and strengthen inner will. Ancient spiritual traditions have always taught that the purity of the body reflects the purity of the soul. When the organism has been affected by substances that weaken its energy, it is essential to begin a process of physical and mental detoxification. Conscious fasting allows the body to eliminate accumulated toxins and restore its natural balance. In many traditions, fasting is considered a method to purify the body, mind, and spirit. Cleansing infusions, such as drinking herbs like milk thistle dandelion and nettle, help detoxify the liver, the organ most impacted by alcohol. Solarized water. It is believed that drinking water exposed to sunlight in a blue glass container recharges vital energy and clears harmful energetic imprints. Meditation for mental clarity, focusing on the breath, calms the mind and helps regain control over thoughts. Automatic writing, recording thoughts and emotions in a journal, aids in releasing mental blocks and unconscious behavior patterns. Conscious silence, spending time without distractions or external stimuli, strengthens the connection to the inner voice. The aura and chakras are deeply affected by alcohol consumption, becoming weakened and developing energetic cracks. To restore energy flow and regain balance, working on healing the subtle energy field is necessary. Salt and herb baths, immersing in water with sea salt and plants like rosemary or lavender, help remove accumulated negative energies. Grounding exercises, such as walking barefoot on earth or grass, strengthen the connection to the earth's energy and stabilize the energy field. Sacred fire cleansing, Lighting a candle or burning incense with the intention of purifying personal energy is a practice used in many shamanic traditions. High frequency sounds like mantras, Tibetan singing bowls, and solfeggio frequencies can harmonize chakras and fix imbalances in the aura. When alcohol disrupts the connection with the higher self, it is essential to restore the bond with the divine essence. This requires consistent practice of introspection and spiritual openness. Prayer and devotion, regardless of belief or tradition, raise a sincere intention and communication with the divine. Working with sacred symbols, meditating on sacred geometry, such as the flower of life or Sri Yantra, helps align consciousness with higher realms. Visualizing the light cord, imagining a golden ray of light connecting the crown chakra to the infinite, is a powerful technique for restoring spiritual connection. For those who have used alcohol as an escape or a social habit, it's important to reconfigure the relationship with this substance and with one's own identity. Techniques for internal transformation, empowering affirmations, repeating phrases like, "My body is a temple of pure energy," or "I am in harmony with my true essence," help anchor new beliefs in the subconscious. Changing your environment and habits. Surrounding yourself with people and spaces that foster awareness and personal growth is key to sustaining change. Self-healing practices such as energy therapy, conscious hypnosis, and transpersonal psychology can help address the deep-rooted reasons for alcohol consumption. True spiritual transformation is not just about quitting drinking, but about reclaiming sovereignty over one's own consciousness. The vital energy that was previously scattered through alcohol can be used to expand perception, raise vibration, and align with the soul's purpose. The healing journey is a return to inner power, a process of reconnecting with ancestral wisdom and with the light that resides in every being. Now that we have explored the methods to heal the effects of alcohol on an energetic and spiritual level, it's time to conclude this journey with a powerful summary and a call to reflection. The journey through the spiritual consequences of alcohol has revealed an undeniable truth. This substance not only alters the mind and body, but also profoundly impacts our energy, our soul, and our connection to the divine. Throughout history, different spiritual traditions have warned of the power of alcohol, not just as an intoxicating liquid, but as a veil that obscures perception and disconnects the individual from their purest essence. However, the true lesson is not just the danger of alcohol, but the importance of choosing clarity over confusion, awareness over illusion, and elevation over stagnation. If this journey has taught us anything, it's that the key lies not in prohibition or fear, but in deep understanding. Every human being has the freedom to decide what they consume, what they allow into their body, and what nourishes their soul. But with that freedom comes great responsibility to be aware of the consequences of every choice. Spiritual awakening is not about denying the material world, but about learning to navigate it without being enslaved by its traps. It is possible to live fully, joyfully, and connected, without resorting to substances that fragment energy and weaken the spirit. If you've made it this far, it's because deep within you there's a quest, an inner calling for clarity, balance, and expanded consciousness. And that is the true key, returning to yourself, reconnecting with your power, and vibrating at your highest expression. The decision is yours. You have the power to transform your energy, restore your essence, and walk towards a higher version of yourself.